Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, I've got something here that I want to cover off because I think this is real important to do. And you know, from the beginning of my channel, quick story, not going to go into it in full depth, but the reason why I started the channel is because, there was so much hype out there, and I wanted to just try and give an alternative opinion. And I think what Lewis Jackson is saying here, and he's a much bigger channel than me, he's basically just explained what is going on with a lot of these influencers in a very quick, succinct way. And so look, the thing that I'm going to say here is, like, Lewis isn't like calling these guys out, because I don't want this to be a thing where it seems like I'm using Lewis as a way to put him against other influencers. But what Lewis is explaining here, I'm just going to be a bit more direct about it. I think Lewis is explaining generally how the game works in terms of what these influencers do. But I think obviously because Lewis has worked with a lot of these people, you've got to understand, because, Lewis is a big channel. So he's done a lot of like podcasts with them. He's gone to XRP, things like the Ripple Party and stuff like that. So he has relationships with some of these people. I don't. And so I'm just going to be completely blunt about it, right? And so what Lewis is basically doing here is exposing the trick of what influencers do to get big with XRP and how they basically use their audience. And so I'm going to cover this. So the first thing I'm going to say here, obviously with Lewis, as I've said before, he's seen one of my videos before. He's promoted it because it was very respectful. I hope Lewis, if he does see this, I hope he doesn't take this as a way of me trying to like throw him under the fire here, throw him under the bus or anything like that. I'm just trying to use this as an example. And he's basically, in his diplomatic way, he's basically exposing the truth anyway. So there's been a Jake Claver lawsuit that's come out. I'll be honest with you, I don't know the full ins and outs of the actual lawsuit, but it sounds like, he's been doing some deceptive practices basically. So, look, Lewis was talking about the whole XRP influencer thing, right? And he broke it down really well. And he also explained why he doesn't believe in the XRP to $50,000 stuff anymore. So I'll get into that too. So what he said here is on this video, and if you guys want to watch it, it's titled 2025 is bigger than I thought for crypto. And it's a YouTube live. So it won't be in this video section. It'll be in the live tab. And you can check it out. But he said, look, he was talking about how, when influencers get big and how it all works. And he was very honest there. And again, this is what I always respect, honesty, because that's what I'm about. He said, look, when you get into doing content and XRP, there's a game that you play, right? And you talk about these high numbers and stuff, and it gets you a lot of views. And he said, look, it's great because, you talk about these high numbers and, the possibilities of these high numbers. It gets you a huge amount of views. Everybody in the XRP community generally loves you because, that they are very passionate about XRP and they believe in these types of price targets. You looked at as basically like a genius and stuff because of this stuff that you're saying, because you're reinforcing the narrative of XRP going to these high numbers. And it gets you a lot of money. And for a lot of these influencers, they also have things like courses and stuff, right? And so when obviously they gain such a high turnover of viewership, obviously they can promote the course to a lot more people. And because of the things that they're pushing, like these high numbers, a lot of people will buy the course, right? Because they'll think that this person has this great information, this great knowledge that they're pushing, and they really believe it. And so that they will support this person and they will buy their course and that kind of thing. And so Lewis has said, look, he just doesn't want to play that game anymore. He's like, I don't want to do that no more. He no longer believes in these theories and stuff. And he just doesn't want to do that game no more. I think that was very honest of him to say, because he's essentially saying that, yeah, like, I was playing a bit of a game when it came to doing some of these high numbers and stuff. And he's just saying that he doesn't want to do that no more. So clearly he's admitting that, part of this was him, trying to get views, which, look, that's fair enough. If that's the case, for me, I've always started off my channel from the get-go as just being completely honest about these numbers not happening. And you can kind of see the trajectory of my channel compared to Lewis's if you look at his viewership and subscribers compared to mine. So you can see what really works, yeah. But, you know, like, look, while I don't agree in terms of doing that, because I haven't done it myself, like, he's changed his opinion now. And as I've said before, like, I do think he did believe this stuff at one point. I don't think this was a thing where he never believed in it and he was just pushing it just for views. I do think he genuinely believed it at one point. But this is the thing with people for YouTube. If you're looking to do YouTube as like a career, as like, you know, like something that you want to quit your job over, which Lewis did, you have to treat it like a business. And again, I'm evidence of when you don't treat it like a business, it's not going to flourish, because I get into debates with people in my comments, and, you know, if people are disrespectful, I'm disrespectful back. That's not good, right? Like, realistically, what you should do is just ignore bad comments. You know, that's what you should do. Either just delete them or just ignore them. But I'm willing to have the debate. It's one, to show them how they're wrong, to see if I can hopefully change their mind and look differently. But two, yeah, I'm human. Like, if you're disrespectful to me, I'll give disrespect back. That's just the way I operate. So I'm not saying that that's the right way to do it from a business perspective, but I've never come into YouTube hoping for it to be my career, if I'll be honest with you, because I have a job, I have a career. So it was something I wanted to do as just like a hobby, and I was passionate about. But yeah, I did hope that I could get big, just because I wanted more people to see my version of what's realistic for XRP. So I wanted to help more people. So look, that is whatever it is. But he's absolutely right. This is the thing. You know, what you've got to understand is these people who are pushing these conspiracy theories and stuff like that, like, you got to understand, there's people who've been saying that XRP was going to go to like $589, $10,000, $1,000 for years now, literally years. Like, I've been in the XRP community for 4 or 5 years now myself, and I can tell you, I've heard so many different theories, and some of them were just absolutely laughable, to be honest with you. I actually do find it surprising that some of the people buy some of the stuff that has been said, but they do. But some of the stuff, you know, it's more like documents and things like that, so people might feel like these are legitimate, or they might be outdated, or they might be doctored, you know, they might have been photoshopped, that kind of thing. Whatever. And so what Lewis is basically saying here is, like, these influencers, you know, when they start pushing these types of narratives, they see the views coming in, and it's hard to stop that, because there's a difference in the views. And my channel is a prime example. One, I've been shadow banned as well, but that's because some of it's because of me having the debates, because people get offended and, you know, want to attack me. So that's part of it as well, I admit. But it is also because I'm not pushing this $10,000 stuff. You know, like, I've seen when I've addressed like a $10,000 topic, and because people think the video is going to be positive, the viewership's been way higher. But then obviously when they see the video and I'm saying, hey, that's not going to happen, I still get the viewership, but then you get a load of negative comments because they thought I was going to come in saying that it is going to happen. But you get a load of views because people are, you know, thinking that's what the top is going to be. And so I want to show you here the difference. And again, like, Lewis, I am sorry that I'm doing this, but I'm trying to, like, jump on the back of your point of what you're saying here. So if we look at some of Lewis's older content, so this was XRP content specifically 5 months ago, you got 49,000 views, 47,000 views, 60,000 views, 70,000 views. So you get the gist, right? A lot bigger viewership, right? So if we just go down to his more recent content, and this is where he's been just doing, like, he's basically doing live streams and then he's clipping the content, right? But as you can see, it's not really like XRP specific. So let's look at the views that he's getting now when he's going a bit more broader than just XRP. So you've got 5.7k views, 5.5k views, 6.1k views, 5.9k views. So do you see the difference? Do you see the disparity in the viewership? Now, I just want to show you again, just sticking on that actual thing here, that topic. Let's look at what he's got here, right? You've got just more recently, 8.5k views, 776 views. Now we've got a video here where he talks about Ripple, and if we just read the title, Ripple just did something that will change the world. 34,000 views. So do you see the difference in what happens when you talk about XRP and Ripple compared to when you're doing other types of content? Now, one thing I will say, granted, Lewis has 146,000 subscribers, roughly, something like that, right? A lot of people subscribe to him off of the back of XRP specific content. So I will say, granted, there will be a lot of his subscriber base who will be like, I don't want to see this other content. Like, I subscribe to you for your XRP content. So if you're not putting up stuff about XRP, I'm not interested. Fair enough. That's true. But you have got to understand that just speaking about Ripple and XRP, because he's such a big channel, whenever he speaks about Ripple and XRP, he gets a boatload of views, right? And so what he's saying here about influencers is that it's very hard for them to turn that kind of money down, right? Like, he can see this now. Now, Lewis, I think, is in too deep at this point, and I think there's no coming back because he's officially changed his stance. And I don't think he would. I think he's accepted that he doesn't want to do that type of content anymore, and I think that's just where he's at with it. But you've got these other influencers who, let's just say they did want to think, let me just try and be a bit more realistic. You got to understand what you come up against, right? Because Lewis has experienced this already. Like, people start to call you an idiot now. People think you're stupid. People think you're a traitor. People think that you're just a flip-flopper. This is the kind of negativity that you deal with. Now, don't get me wrong, I get it, because if you have gone from someone who was saying, you know, XRP is going to hit $10,000, $50,000 to, you know, I'm thinking more like $10, $20 now. I get it. It's a big difference. So I do understand some of the anger. But if you can be objective and just think, well, there's been new information, there's been new things that have come out that have changed, and his perspective has changed. Because I've said this in a recent video myself, like, I was never someone who was said all the banks are going to use XRP as a bridge currency. Like, I've said that they'll still have a level of success, but I've never said that, you know, XRP and Ripple will replace Swift. I've never thought that that was going to happen. But I've said now, like, with how we see things, with how things are going with stablecoins, I am starting to believe that even the level of success I thought XRP would have as a bridge currency, it's lowering down bit by bit. I am starting to feel like the bridge currency narrative, it's slowly starting to fade, and I don't think that's going to be one of Ripple's or XRP's like main use cases for it. I really don't anymore. So even for me, as someone who would say, hey, like, XRP can still be used as a bridge asset and that will still be utilized, but it's not going to be as big as what people make it out to be. Even with me, with that realistic outlook, I've started to think, hey, even what I'm thinking, maybe it's going to be a little bit less than that as well. Do you know what I mean? So my stance has changed a little bit because stablecoins just seems to be the thing. Now, I'll be honest with you, for me, doesn't really make sense in my opinion. I don't get it because, yes, I get stablecoins are cool because they're pegged to a fiat currency. I get that. But why would you want to all be dealing with other people's stablecoins? Like, why would you want to have one country dealing with another country's stablecoin? Like, to me, just using XRP as the bridge asset means each country can just deal with their own, and then XRP can change it into the other country's stablecoin. It to me just logically makes sense. I really don't fully understand why it's not being utilized, but that's just what it is. We have to accept the truth, right? That's just what it is. The other thing is, like, you know, there's going to be so many stablecoins out there. Like, you've got like PayPal who've made one, you've got Ripples, you've got, you know, Western Union building one, and Solana. So it's like, are you just going to have different stablecoins for different places? Like, you're going to have, like, for example, McDonald's having their own stablecoin, and then, you know, like Facebook having their own stablecoin, and then PayPal having their own stablecoin. Like, that's just going to be ridiculous. You know what I mean? It could seem like overkill to me. But yeah, that's just where we're at. And so, look, I think it's great that he's done this. Like, I really like that Lewis has took such a, like, stern stance with this now, and he's basically just calling it out, you know. And don't get me wrong, he's not trying to do it in a disrespectful way, and I get that because he's got relationships. So I'm not saying that this is Lewis doing this. I'm the one piggybacking off of what he's saying, and I'm telling you essentially what this is. I'm the one who's calling it out because I don't have these relationships. I never came into this to make relationships. Like, this is me just being honest. And that's why, you know, for me, it's never been about money, and it's never been about me trying to be like within the XRP community of influencers. Like, I don't even like being called an influencer. I'm just a content creator. Like, I'm not trying to influence you to do anything. I'm just giving you my opinions. I'm not here to make friends, right? Like, so, you know, when I've had a few run-ins with some of these bigger influencers, I don't care because I'm just giving you my honest opinion. If they can't take that and me just having an honest critique on them, that's their problem, not mine. And I've been willing to debate any single one of them who I've had an issue with. Well, not an issue with because I don't, they have an issue with me, but I'm willing to debate any of them. And that's really not for me. It's for the audience. It's so you guys can hear, hey, these guys push this kind of narrative. let's have a debate. And so you guys can now see who can really stand up in a debate, who can really put these arguments about what they believe and still stand tall. That's what I'm about, because I know I'm willing to debate these influencers 100%, because I'm very confident that when I have a debate with them, they will crumble. 100% I'm confident of that. And Lewis is just here speaking the truth. He really is. And don't get me wrong, like he is getting attacked for it, but like I think this is one of those things where this is what I said for me. It's like, what helps me sleep at night? Because I could just turn around tomorrow and just start doing crazy XRP content about, you know, going to $10,000 and stuff. And I know the viewership would just go crazy. You know, like I know I could turn it around and get my channel huge, but I'm not willing to push it. I'm just not willing to do it. So I keep doing what I'm doing. I have to accept that my channel's probably never going to be a hugely successful channel in that way. Like I'm probably never going to, you know, be a channel that gets like 50,000 subscribers, but it just is what it is. Like I've accepted it for what my channel is. And for the few people who I have reached, who've messaged me and, you know, like the friendships I've made along the way, I'm grateful for that, because there are people who do appreciate my content. So I know that there are some who are, you know, grateful for what I do. So that for me that's enough for me. I can live with that. So just one other thing off of the back of this. So quickly, just about him saying why XRP won't be hitting $50,000. I've kind of already answered it. It's about the stablecoin thing, and I've addressed this in a recent video anyway. He just said, look, from what he's seeing, the way things are going, and he also said he's been speaking to people in the finance industry as well, and he said, like, yes, stablecoins is where it's going, and stablecoins can actually be used to do settlement as well. So, you know, when a lot of people will say like, oh yeah, well you can use a stablecoin, but what's going to settle it? The stablecoins can do settlement. Like I said earlier, I've just spoke on what I said about the stablecoin thing. It does seem that that's where it's heading. A lot of research that I do as well, stablecoins just seem like where it's going. So to me, I still don't get why XRP wouldn't have its space. I still think XRP will be utilized, but I think the impact and the role it's going to have, it is a lot lesser than what I would have originally thought. Do I think that it won't do any type of bridge asset, you know, utility at all now? No, I still think it will have its place to certain points, but I really think the usage of it is going to be a lot more limited than what even I realistically originally anticipated. But this is why, again, I said, like, don't look to XRP as just the bridge asset. There's more to it than just that anyway. So if you can think about the other factors, I think that's where you can see this isn't too much of a concern overall, because there's still other places and areas and utility where XRP can be successful. Okay, yeah, so moving on, King Solomon, just another guy who, to me, like, he's a really good content creator. I'll be honest with you. I really like King Solomon, one of my more favorite content creators out there. He does deep dives, and he's been doing them for a long time, and some of the stuff he was finding, like he's been putting out stuff from like 2016, you know, been doing deep dives and finding patents and stuff and white papers and stuff where, you know, XRP and other cryptos were being mentioned and being trialed and stuff like that. So he's been around for a long time, and he has done some really good content. And he put out a recent video as well, and in his video, once again, he was very honest. He said, look, the way things are looking, it's looking like stablecoins are going to be the more dominant thing when it comes to finance. It's looking like, you know, XRP's role as a bridge currency, it's not really looking like this is going to be as big of a thing in the future. Again, he's being honest. Like, this is the thing for me, like, and I get it, some people just blindly believe this stuff about XRP, so that's why they're attacking it. I just want to believe the truth, right? Like, for me, I'd rather someone just be honest with me and tell me this stuff than me, like, putting my fingers in my ears and saying, nah, I don't want to hear it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather hear the truth. And, like, you can see these things, like, you know, Swift have gone with Ethereum and Chainlink. Solana have done a partnership deal with Western Union. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be that everything's going to be on XRP. Like, it's evident of that. And I don't know how much more it's going to take for these people to just accept that reality. Like, it's kind of crazy that people are still, like, I saw a video and I was going to cover it, but I haven't had a chance to. But when the news came out that Swift were using Ethereum, they'd done this video where somehow it's still included XRP, and it's just like, come on, man. Like, they've literally said it's Ethereum, and somehow they're trying to put this conspiracy around that somehow it's still going to involve XRP, and it's just like, there's just no there's just no getting through to some of these people. Like, they're just not going to accept the truth. Do you know what I mean? And so whatever you tell them, it doesn't matter. They're going to believe whatever they want to believe. It's their alternate reality. So, XRP, King Solomon dropped a video just talking about how, it's looking like, XRP's role as a bridge asset. It's not really looking like it's going to be as big as what we'd have originally thought. So this is off of the back of that video that he put out. He said, YouTube comments on this are wild. To be clear, not believing the quote global bridge asset unquote narrative doesn't mean I'm against XRP. I believe in XRP and hold it. There's room for optimism without emotionally needing every clickbait theory to be true. Yeah, and this is what I mean, man. Like, it's crazy how, like, I do content when obviously, like, I'm talking about things that won't happen for XRP. I'm an XRP holder, so I'm not saying this from an aspect of me saying, hey, XRP's dead, because if it was, I'd be out of XRP. I'd get out of it as soon as I could. It's not that. It's just me just giving you guys the reality of what's happening here. Like, the whole point of my channel is just to give you a realistic outlook, right? This is what's really going on. Like, don't just get too wrapped up in all the hype and the conspiracy theories, because the conspiracy theories are just that. They're theories, right? There's no guarantee that these are true. And in my opinion, they're not true, right? They evidently aren't true. But what I can show you is like facts and information and data that can show you, well, this is what's actually happening. So with this kind of information, do you think it's likely that XRP is going to be an asset that, is used all around the world by every bank and every company? Like, when you can see evidence that people are tokenizing on different chains, people are using a different stablecoin for cross-border payments, people are going with other networks for cross-border payments. Does it seem realistic for you if you can already see that there's other banks and other networks making partnerships with other chains, that XRP is going to be the one that's used for everything? This is what I mean, like, and that's what I'm about. And so just one quick response from a guy who looked at his content, and then King Solomon replied. He put, I think people might be upset because that's the type of narrative you pushed back in the day when you did YouTube all the time. So King Solomon replied, he said, doubtful. Most people were upset for not believing it in 2025. Not upset that I was doing content on it in 2020/2021 when it seemed much more plausible. I've literally had people tell me that I need to watch XYZ videos because XRP is going to $500 before the end of year and replacing the Fed. The other guy said, I say this with respect. From my perspective, I can see why they'd be tagging you in said videos. They're trying to convince you again of what you'd preach. I've been here since 2020 and it feels different that you're not so pro XRP. I agree with your current perspective though. And then King Solomon said, I'm pro XRP, just not pro XRP influencer grifter conspiracy groupthink. Once again, man, like, and this is the thing, right? Like, people get upset when, for example, King Solomon here, they're saying, like, you used to be like thinking XRP was going to be this globally used asset. He's just being honest. Like, maybe at that time when he was looking at all this stuff, he really felt that could be the case. Now, look, I've said this before, even from a realistic point of view, I thought XRP as a bridge asset would be way more successful. I'm still surprised when I'm saying what I'm saying about XRP not looking as successful as I'd even realistically think it would be, that it's the case, because I just don't know why you would want to handle all these other country stablecoins. To me, it makes no logical sense. Like, XRP is the logical option, in my opinion. But I'm not about to deny reality. Do you know what I mean? So people can attack me in the comments and all this, but we've got the truth out here. Like, and this is what King Solomon is doing. He's like saying to you guys, look, going by this information, all this stuff that we're seeing, it doesn't look like this is going to happen. I just respect it. He's just being honest. So all I'll say is, I think we need to cut these guys some slack, to be honest with you. Like, they're just being completely honest. And people, yes, I get it. You may have been seeing videos back in the day where this is what's being preached, but information changes, stuff changes. Like I've said before, yeah, XRP is still going to be used as a bridge asset in some aspects. And I'm seeing things now where this whole stablecoin stuff is like, it's getting pushed way more harder than I would have thought it would have been. So even I'm saying, well, yeah, I still think XRP is going to be used as a bridge asset, but it's going to be used less than I would have originally anticipated as well. And I think it's weird. I really do. Like, I still stand by that, but it just seems like that's what is the case. So, like, I just wanted to cover this one because of the whole influencer thing. Like, I do think it's good to address this because, look, I've been doing this channel for I think it's 2 years now, going on 3 years. I've been telling you guys from the beginning, a lot of these influencers, they don't have your best interests at heart. They're doing it because it gets views and money. Like, they will keep pushing it and then pushing the goalposts. So they'll say, yeah, XRP is going to go to $10,000 by this. Like, a lot of people believe that XRP was going to reach $10,000 by 2025. This was off of the back of 2021, because 2021 was the original date, but now they started to push it to 2025. We're almost done, guys. 2025 is almost at the end of it, and we'll see if we're at $10,000 by the end of the year. I really don't think we will be. But there you go. Like, this is what I mean. And all that will happen is it will just get told that, hey, maybe it's being manipulated, or maybe there's more things that they need to wait for. Like the lawsuit, right? Like, one of the, claims that they made was that once the lawsuit's done, XRP is going to go and blast off into $10,000. Like, they're just waiting that the lawsuit is fake to get XRP ready for all the banks, and then they're going to flip the switch once the lawsuit's done. That didn't happen, right? That's just one of the narratives that people were making up. And so they just keep pushing new things to keep the gravy train going, because it keeps people watching. People want to believe it's true, so they keep accepting it. Yeah, it's manipulation. Yeah, that's what it is. They're trying to hold XRP back. They believe all this stuff because they want to believe all this stuff because they're hoping it's true, and they just keep making money off of the back of it. They're just deceiving you guys. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. So I'll never get, unfortunately, to the point I'd like to get where I could push this and people can take it in, but I do my bit, man. And no matter how small I am, I'm just trying to do my part. So this has probably turned out to be a lot longer than I anticipated it to be. But yeah, this is just probably, it's like a rant, but I'm really just trying to help people. And I think that's the frustrating thing. It's like people come in and attack me for this stuff. And it's like, I'm doing this to help people. Like, I can go away and not need to do this channel because I have a good career. So if I just quit this channel tomorrow, it doesn't matter for me. I'll just go back to doing my career, which I was doing in the first place. And whenever I see these nonsense influencers, I'll just ignore them because I'll just know who are the ones who are lying and who are the ones who are being honest. So I'll just know who to watch and who not to watch. It's not going to impact me anyway. I do it for you guys who might be a bit less informed or just want to hear the truth and alternative points. So yeah, look, it's a thankless task, but anyway, I'll leave it there. But I hope this does give you some insight. And again, props to Lewis and props to King Solomon, man. I think it's good what they're doing. I just respect honesty at the end of the day because that's what we need in this space. There's not a lot of it at all. There's a lot of people who are just making money off of vulnerable people, to be honest. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell. Take care.